This is the talk show that takes a no-holds-barred approach to politics, where truth and integrity are the standard and the Constitution honored. From Renaissance Studios, this is Champion News Talk Radio.
Merry Christmas from Champion News Talk Radio, brought to you by championnews.net. This is a beautiful Christmas morning, and we'd like to wish you all a Merry Christmas from our family here at Champion News Talk Radio. Our founder, Jack Roeser, and myself have Bruno Behrend from the Heartland Institute, and Bruno is the director for the Center for Transforming Education. Transforming education. Boy, is that necessary, huh, Jack?
Oh, well, Bruno's been at it a while. I have a lot of respect for what he's done, and is telling you, Steve, have a radio program of your own.
Yeah.
Bruno's been working hard on this issue for a long time. He's got a lot of good sense.
And the reason we changed that, my original title at Heartland was Director for the Center for School Reform. What we've done now is, after 50 years of trying to reform schools, and we've had watered down reforms, and we've spent tons of money at the state, federal, and local level, the fact is we don't really want to reform schools anymore. Reform is tepid. We need to transform schools. And when my 30-second elevator pitch for transforming schools is that we need to dismantle the government education complex, which is made up of federal, state, and local government entities. We need to dismantle those entities and create an open-sourced network of independent schools and service providers where the money follows the child to a vast new array of education options. And that's the school. We need to replace the 19th century brick-and-mortar system with a system that has many more options and is kind of a networked system for the 21st century.
Isn't it odd that our education system is way behind in how you go about intellectual pursuits?
Absolutely.
Have they heard about the internet? Have they heard about sailors learning to run atomic engines on the ships and all by studying a computer, lesson by lesson? They learn the whole damn thing.
Exactly.
The world has gone ahead, and it's just been a whole business of job protection for the people that are mismanaging the education system. They are the most expensive dunderheads of management that there is in the whole state.
Yeah.
I've concentrated on the financial end of this thing, the management end, because you can have different opinions about what they're doing with the children. There is room for a subjective view about whether they're teaching right or wrong.
Right.
I would give you the answer that they've made a mess of it, but financially we got the numbers. And on the numbers, the K-12 education system run by the IEA.
The enemy of the Republic.
Enemy of the Republic. You got to get that straight. The perfidy of that bunch has extended to where it endangers truly the entire Republic. But there is no worse management system. You shouldn't use the word management in connection with the K-12 system.
Right.
Whether it's buildings, repairs, salaries, pensions, anything these dunderheads touch is at 2, 3, and 4 times the proper cost for them.
Exactly.
They wouldn't survive 30 days in an independent economy.
But Bruno, you said something very radical here. Dismantle.
Right.
Dismantle. That's a pretty big and scary word. Can you explain to our listeners a little bit what you mean by that?
Well, absolutely. First of all, it's time for the education transformation movement, reformers, people like Jack, people like us to be...
Who, by the way, who's been fighting this battle for the 50 years.
And probably one of the first and best people to do something that I think Jack was probably the first person in the country to put teacher salaries online.
Online at championnews.net.
And
at championnews.net, you could see all those
You get the salary database.
That was something over 15 years ago.
Right.
Okay.
And that was one of the more important things to show people just how much money we were spending. But here's what I mean by dismantle. The money needs to start following the child. And it can follow the child to a new school in the form of a charter school. It can, which is a more independent school. It is actually a more of a neighborhood school than the local public school is, quite frankly. because it's independent of the state, federal, local bureaucracy. Then it can follow the child through a voucher, where the money follows the child to a solution that's much more tailored to that child than a district-run school ever could be. Or it can follow the money to a better course that might be offered digitally. You know, this is an iPad. And so what happens is that as the money follows the child, maybe the district system survives, maybe it doesn't.
How will the district system survive? I mean, there are some very good school districts here.
Right.
And they are doing
comparatively good.
Comparatively good.
Compared to internationally, take Barrington where I live. Very rich community, very expensive school system. They could have anything they want. The kids come from homes where they learn a lot from their parents.
Right.
They go in with high standing, which declines comparatively as the school system has its effect.
Right.
On an international scale, they get about a D+.
And so Jack is
so
exactly...
this is actually an equalizer. It's a balancer to children that don't have parents that understand the importance of truly educating their children for critical thinking at home. And the parents could have choices of more quality education. So this is a benefit. This is what I'm hearing.
Yes, exactly. And the reason I use the very aggressive word dismantle, and there are probably people all over the education reform movement who are saying, like, Bruno, shh, don't use that word. That's the word that our opponents use to describe what we're doing. And I keep saying, look, our opponents are correct, but dismantlement is what we should do. And the reason is this: it's not about, folks, it's not about the school district, where all the money gets dumped into a district and then you're paying for car allowances and pensions and pension perks and 6% increases per year and all of these contracts and roofing contracts that Jack has looked into. Have the money follow the child. What's more empowering? A vote for a rump board that is basically dictated to by federal and state mandates and unions and bureaucrats, or an $11,000 check that says that you can use this $11,000 at any educational institution you want to, or if you find something cheaper than $11,000, you can save it for college.
Well, and you know something that you're saying is not all children are the same.
Exactly.
We are created differently, and there are different giftings. So this brick and mortar, all in all, we're another brick in the wall kind of manufactured school system may not be the best for a creative child or a child that has a different modality of mindset.
Exactly.
Michael, you were...
Well, here's the fight that you have on your hands. You are dealing with a bureaucracy that started out as a small pool, turned it into a pond, turned it into a lake, turned it into an ocean. They have grown it, not for the kids, but for power. Well, not only the unions, but also the politicians that they have contributed to lock that into a monopoly that cannot be challenged.
If it's a behemoth or behemoth, whatever that word is. Now you were saying the enemy. The enemy is these unions, these teachers' unions.
They're the power system that keeps this thing perking along in the wrong track.
So how does the messaging get out clearer? Because you've got good teachers. You've got teachers that are there to serve these kids. I've talked to a lot of public school teachers. My son goes to a public school. They care about the kids.
It's worth mentioning.
Okay? The thing is, the unions have this message that they're going to try and take you over, blah, 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 when actually I think it's very false on its face. It's the unions that are controlling, and the teachers don't have as much power as they'd like to.
Well, and when I use the word government education complex, it's the unions, which is the NEA, the IFT, the 50 state affiliates, the AFT and their 50 affiliates across the country.
They used to call it the government military complex and deride the $150 toilet seats and so forth. And they're into it in education.
Waste, fraud, and abuse.
Exactly. And the only
on taxpayer dollars.
On taxpayer dollars. And unlike the military-industrial complex, which at least is very expensive and bureaucratic, at least it works. Our military is the best military in the world. Yeah. Now, But with the government education complex, it's a little bit different. So what I'll do is let me lay it out and describe it for you when I have a chance, and we'll put in the whole government side of it, the private industry side of it, the politicians, and all of the organizations that are in this complex, and people can get a chance to see how big this monster really is, and then I'll lay out how I think we should dismantle it.
Wow. This sounds like a really, really interesting show, Jack. What do you think?
Monster is the correct word.
Behemoth.
This is a beast that have developed a voracious appetite for the taxpayer dollar.
And you know what? We're enabling it if we don't let people become aware of what's going on, and there are solutions to this that the taxpayers could do at the own level. You know what? I am so looking forward to you laying this map out for us, Bruno, when we come back after the break. Jack, what do you think about all this?
I think we're spending $16,000 a year per child in Illinois, and that's way too much, and it's a lousy result.